We are live.
Oh, okay. Welcome everyone to another Facebook Live with Dr. Bryant. This is Dr. Bryant and I'm Greta Russo. Dr. Bryant, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm a veterinarian and I work in the airline industry. I've been on staff with Delta Airlines since around 2018 timeframe initially. Brought on staff to help review and revise the policies for animal transportation. And we've been working really hard on just really ensuring that as an airline, we comply with all the regulations for the transport of animals. And that's including not just your dogs and cats. It's going to be for other animals too. So just be aware the transportation of animals is highly regulated. And as an airline, they need to comply with these regulations. So that's what I've been on staff to do. But aside from that, I've worked within this role and just being a veterinarian in general. I started analyzing and realizing that there's a lot the pet owners can do to better prepare their pets for air transport. And that information wasn't out there. So I decided to develop my own platform to share pet-centric travel education. So I developed When Pets Fly. And it's grown. I started that during the pandemic in 2020, and we have grown significantly. We have a website. It's www.whenpets.com. We have our social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I've been doing a lot as far as I do presentations and webinars at national veterinary conferences. So I've been doing a lot with that in reference to that. In 2021, Greta joined me, and she's actually helped grow this significantly as far as with being my marketing manager. And honestly, we've grown significantly. The idea of developing these Facebook Live events actually was Greta's, and we have significantly grown. Greta, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we go a little bit further on that, please, because you're my right hand. She's my marketing manager, and we've been growing When Pets Fly significantly during this time frame.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone, and we're so glad to have you. As Dr. Bryant mentioned, I help her with some of the marketing that we do and the outreach as well. And we're so excited. We've been around for almost 4 years. I can't believe it. This month we celebrate our 5th anniversary.
But it's still 4th anniversary of the Facebook Lives, but we've got 5 years as far as being in general, as far as When Pets Fly. But this is our 4th year. Amazing. We've been doing our Facebook Lives for 4 years. And I think what I saw, I was researching something, October 7th of 2021 was our first one, I believe. But we've been going, and time flies. Time flies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm so excited about that. And our reach has definitely expanded. Now we are worldwide and we are in several countries. We're in more than 20 countries where people are getting our information and watching the show. So we're very, very excited about all of that. And to everyone, we say welcome. So I'm so excited that we actually have an international guest today. I'm, just to learn more about how, people prepare and take care of doing their transportation out of Australia. So that'll be fun to learn.
Yeah.
As far as the news, I don't have much to share today. However, I'm sure everyone in the U.S. Realizes that our government has shut down. One of the big things that's coming out of that is that the workers for airports, they're all federal employees, and so a lot of them are deciding not to show up, which is causing a little bit of havoc at airports. So just be careful. I don't know how long this is going to last, but we're getting ready to go into high pet travel season, the last one for the year. So just, be prepared and maybe taking a little extra time, I guess, Dr. Bryant, in getting there. So you don't.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'm with you on it. And actually, it's more to it than as far as on the passenger side and maybe the delays you might experience there. For pet travel coming into the United States, or even traveling domestically, I think there's going to be an impact there because a lot of the, say, the documentation, the international health certificates going out of the country, there might be a delay. I mean, some of these officers that have a fee associated with their function are functioning, but there still might be some delays with that. So if you're traveling internationally, leaving the country, just be aware there may be a delay based upon that because of the governmental shutdown. There may be a delay coming into the country. I've gotten basically notifications saying that pets coming into the country might be impacted because they have to comply with CDC's regulations. And the offices might have some delays again in reference to it. So just be aware it might impact it. So it's going to impact pet travel is the main thing I want to realize. So more than just your personal inconvenience or delays for you traveling, also traveling with pets, there might be some delays in reference to getting documentation process in a timely fashion. So be mindful of that.
Yeah. If for people to start traveling in, I think the first holiday, I thought it was in October, but I think it's actually in November. So people should start the paperwork process now. Especially with those offices being, I like to say, a skeleton crew instead of instead of saying there's problems. But yeah, just to make sure that you're able to get everything you need to go on your trip. So I don't know where else it was going to impact a person preparing for travel, whether leaving or coming in. So I'm glad that you jumped in and said that. Is the CDC also has their offices been cut back because of all of this as well?
I think they're still functioning because, well, again, I can't remember I don't think there's a fee associated with them. So you have to check. I don't believe there's a fee associated with the CDC import paperwork. So they may be also furloughed or shut down. Not 100% sure, I'll be honest with you, but I'll just say the agencies that have a fee associated with their forms, they're supposed to be open, but they'll be on a skeleton crew. But I would imagine CDC, if anything, a skeleton crew as well, as far as their functioning. So this shutdown is impacting, again, more than just your personal inconvenience traveling. For pet travel, it is impacting that as well. So be mindful of that. And again, as far as preparation, it may take longer to get through this whole process because of the government shutdown.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a shame, and I'm hoping it'll release soon. But I just wanted to make everybody aware because we are, I want to say, halfway through October already, the travel season is just next month. Depending on what your religion is, or if you're celebrating the national holidays. November is when it really gets hot and heavy. So everyone start preparing now. So Dr. Bryant, should they call any offices to check on anything? Like, is there someone they can reach out to?
I don't have anything written down here right now to assist with that process, but if anything, work with your accredited veterinarian in reference to that. If you're going for international travel, leaving the country, or domestic travel, work with them to ensure that they can, help you with that process and get proper information. Actually, to be honest with you, Greta, if need be, I can make available the contact numbers for USDA and for CDC also too, for the dogs coming into the country as well. We can make that available on the website or something like that, or maybe a flyer we can develop. Again, just something to be mindful of, that the government shutdown is impacting pet travel, and maybe some contact information they can reach out to in reference to that. But the main thing is, again, you have to be prepared. You have to prepare early, and then with everything going on, there might be even a delay based upon that. So. And it's funny, it's very interesting. And I feel like this is a segue into Montana joining us. Pet owners need to realize, when you're traveling or you have decided to travel internationally with your pet, just be aware, it's going to take a considerable amount of time for your pet to meet the requirements for that destination country. I know that airlines will tell you, especially if you're going, if you're either going by cargo or sometimes in cabin, I know the airlines will tell you they need an international health certificate and it has to be dated within 10 days of travel. Be aware, to meet those requirements of that destination country is going to take more than 10 days to complete for your pet to do that, because there's could be microchipping might be required. Rabies titer, depending on the country, you might be going to a rabies-free country or state. And the titer itself has to be sent off to a specific lab. So it's not a simple diagnostic test that you do. So it's going to take time. So just be aware, all these things have to be met. And it can take, I was just talking briefly with Montana, 8 to 10 months to get prepared for your pet to meet those requirements to go to Australia. So preparation is key. More than, again, this, and I'm just talking about documentation. I'm not talking about preparing your pets at this point. This is just to meet the documentation requirements. So either way, whenever you decide, wherever you want to travel, start extremely early. And again, if you're going to Australia, I believe, and I may be wrong, and Montana will have to help tell us if not, but I think the requirements to entering Australia is probably the most stringent country, and it actually, and I'm glad, you know, they have strict requirements for animals coming into their country to prevent disease spreading and everything, and to protect their country, and they have every right for it. So I think it's great. So again, it could take 8 to 10 months for your pet to meet the requirements.
Right. And also, you know, I want to share that you want to make sure you go to that country's page, you know, type in traveling with a pet to whatever country that is, or whatever city that is. And this way you'll be able to get what that destination requires. It'll pop up on Google so that you can click on that link. The US, we have, what is that?
The USDA pet travel website definitely will give you the information for that destination country or state. And then also, like I said, if you're traveling, you can also look up for that country itself. Sometimes going to that country itself and researching the requirements there can give you sometimes more detailed information than the USDA pet travel website. So look at both. Just look at both.
Yeah. And then coming into the United States, make sure you look up the CDC. They will tell you what you need to come in, and realize that some of these countries may need more than rabies. They might have other shots that you need to get.
Yes.
So
yep.
Just be ready.
No, and perfect. I'm glad you said that. And just to tail off on that with CDC, depending on the country you're traveling from, if it's a high rabies risk country, your dog will have more stringent requirements coming in, and actually will have to enter the U.S. through a specific location that has the CDC's animal care facilities, and they're scattered, not a lot of places. I think there's like maybe 6 or 7 locations. Is it 7? Thank you. That they can come in on. So again, you got to do your research and make sure your pet meets the requirements coming back. Even if your pet is a U.S., you'd say originated in the U.S., you left and came back. Doesn't
U.S.
matter.
citizen.
Yeah, it's like, you can't just say my dog's a U.S. dog. No, not enough. You have to make sure you meet the requirements of CDC upon returning to the country.
And, you know, I just want to share with everyone, if you have questions and or even a special situation with your dog, an older pet or brachycephalic pet, Dr. Bryant is the person you want to have consultations with. So please go to our website and go to the contact page. She has 2 different forms of consultations you can sign up for, and she can help you create a special personalized travel plan just for you and your pet, and what each step you need to take to make sure that both you and your pet travel safe and effectively through the process.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's time to bring Miss Montana on. And that's not Hannah Montana. So hold on one second.
Hannah Montana.
You would not know how many times I get that, but yes. Happy to be here.
Fine. Oh, well, we're so happy you're here, and we can't wait to learn all about Australia, all about Jetpets, and everything that you do. But before we get started, I'm going to read your bio so that our audience can know just a little bit more about you. So, everyone, Montana Sheridan is the Chief Operating Officer at Jetpets and IPATA Regional Director. With over a decade of experience in pet transportation, I began my career in 2011 as a domestic travel consultant and have since progressed through international operations, leadership, and senior management. I currently serve as COO of Jetpets, Australia's leading pet transport company, and was appointed as an IPATA Regional Director in 2025. I'm also actively involved in communities, including airline liaison and conference planning. Everyone, please help us welcome Montana Sheridan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us, Montana. And please tell us, folks, this is a pleasure and honor that she's with us, because please tell us what time it is in Australia.
It is 4:16 a.m.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. She lost sleep to be here, so it's a great honor. Honestly, it's an honor to have you on with us today. So thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. The honor's mine.
Yeah.
So, Montana, please. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think I segued into a really good Montana as far as, we may go a little bit out of order here. I know there's some questions we have to do, but, you know what? When I think of Australia, okay, this is really bad. You should know the story I think of when I think of Australia and pet travel. I forget what year it was, but many, many moons ago, we had the Johnny Depp story of the two dogs that he flew into, I guess, on a private jet into Australia, and the aftermath. And at the time, I think in the U.S., it was thought that, they're being mean, or so you guys know, I believe he flew into the country with two dogs that did not meet the requirements of entering the country of Australia, and they had to leave because they didn't meet the requirements. And I believe at the time they threatened euthanasia of the dogs. And of course, in the U.S., that was like, oh my God, that's awful. And, but Australia is their own country. They have a right to defend their country and keep it safe. What people don't realize is pets can transmit diseases that maybe, that's not apparent in that country. So we've got to realize, I love dogs, I love cats, but they are animals, and there's diseases that they may have that are not prevalent in Australia. So that introduction could mess up their whole ecosystem. I don't know. So it's important that if you're entering that country into Australia with your pet, that they meet the requirements of that country. So, but yeah, that's my first thought when I think of Australia. That's yeah.
Look, it did make international headlines. It was quite a hoo-ha. Yeah. However, it's correct. We are ultimately a huge island that is disease-free, and we've protected our borders very strictly for a long time to remain that way. So if you make any accommodations to anyone, you're risking the biosecurity of the country. So yes, unfortunately, entering in a non-compliant way does result in animals being returned. And yeah, it one rule fits all. If you're a certain category, you have to follow those import conditions. So that leads into education is so important. So as the pet owner, education in understanding the process is your first step. So going to those government websites like you suggested. So Department of Agriculture has such clear step-by-step guides depending on the category country that you're in, and depending on the species type that you're importing. And also strongly recommend, obviously, speaking to a specialist, a pet shipper,
Yeah.
because step-by-steps are so in-depth. But you're doing this once in your life, and it is critical that you get every step right. Whereas a pet specialist like Jetpets have done this day in, day out, and can remove that stress of that 8 to 10 month process away from you. And you can, go forth knowing that everything's been taken care of and compliant. There's going to be no issues on arrival. So, yeah, education is so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the one thing I want to point out is that it's not just Australia or other countries. It's all countries, including the United States. So everyone has to remember that every country has a governing body where its job is to protect the country from any foreign invaders, and that includes the little critters that our pets may have on them, or even animals that are being transported to zoos and aquariums. And so it's every animal that's coming into every country. So I just wanted to make sure we didn't have a group of, Americans that are saying, darn you, Australia. So.
No, but I think it goes back to, number one, the education piece, as you say in Montana. They're just not educated on the requirements. And then also, the knowledge and realizing, much as I might love my dog or cat, they do have diseases that potentially other countries don't have. And I think it's bad, because in the U.S., we're kind of a big bubble, and we don't think about it, as far as traveling and that potential with a pet. And that's not good. Again, education is key. Realize, again, each country has their own international requirements to allow pets or other animals to enter their country. And compliance is required. Again, if they don't meet requirements, hey, you're going back to your origin country. Or again, worst case scenario, hey, and it was a threat. I don't think any country wants to humanely euthanize an animal. No. I think they do. No. That is the ultimate threat. So they realize that you can't stay here. But you go in there, you don't meet requirements, be prepared. If you don't meet requirements, they're going to be returning back to the United States or wherever at your expense. And it's sad, because think about what the pet is going through in a process too. You put them in that predicament. And now they, as far as travel and everything, and then now they got to go back in extended time being in a crate and all that. They're not prepared for that. They're not prepared for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we touched on this, Dr. Nelva, just before, is to do things the right way and the compliant way often is a more expensive way than doing it yourself and potentially making a mistake. And those mistakes can be costly. You've just spoken about returning at your own expense, etc. So just take the moment to do the education piece, to do the research, and reach out to specialists to get those quotations so that you can evaluate, wow, it is such an in-depth process and so intricate. And the veterinary process for Australia, for example, for New Zealand, for example, is so detailed. To get it right is more important than that element of that financial side. So yes, we are absolutely pro. Please speak to us and we'll educate you on how to get in. So
absolutely. Well, you know what? Why don't you tell us about not just your journey, but how it all began?
Yeah. So I started at Jetpets, and this was my first insight to the industry in 2011. And I thought it was just going to be a short stay, and what turned out, what was a role helping people relocate their animals across the world ended up being a lifelong passion. So I've been here ever since. I started in the domestic travel space and then quickly moved into some of our more niche corporate sectors, then went into international, then into leadership. And by 2015, I was offered the opportunity to become senior management at Jetpets, which obviously I jumped at. So 9 years later, I'm still running the day-to-day operations at Jetpets. So I did not understand how big and complex this industry was until I entered it. And then I was like, this makes so much sense. You can't just take your animal on a plane with no preparation. And also looking at all the ways people could transport their animal and evaluating what was the best and most ethical way and the welfare practices in how to do that. So what I have found is Jetpets in particular, every decision that we make is welfare focused. So my journey has just been what is best for the animal, what is best for this family, and that is the core value of every decision we make. And because of that, yes, we do have a very strong brand and reputation, which in turn is great for business, but that comes from the foundations of that trust, integrity, and respect, which are the core values of Jetpets. So that has been my journey. And then I think my first IPATA conference was Vegas, so 2014. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. And that was an insight into the international space and all of the amazing partnerships that we have at Jetpets, and why we work with the people that we work with, because they share the same values as us. And that platform enabled me to continue to advocate for the safest practices of pet shipping and try to influence that change. And so I've been a part of that IPATA group since then. And as discussed, I then was not offered the opportunity, I was voted for by the membership, but to be the director of the Asia and Oceania region. And yeah, that has been busy and fun on top of the workload. But that's me in a nutshell.
That's
for
awesome.
For everyone who's not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to say, we're probably saying the same thing. For folks who are not aware what IPATA is, it's the International Pet and Animal Transportation Association. It is a huge network of basically international pet shippers that ship animals following the guidelines of IATA, the International Air Transport Association, live animal regulations. Basically, they're all focused on animal welfare during transport, and that's huge. I wish folks would utilize the services of IPATA shippers more. Be honest with you, what comment I get from a lot of folks is, oh, the pet shipper is too expensive, so they want to try to do it themselves. But as we mentioned earlier, you can maybe try to save money and try to cut corners financially, but the peace of mind, sometimes you might have to pay for that to ensure that your pets get to the destination safely. An IPATA shipper such as Jetpets, they've been doing it for years. They know what's required. They know what's needed to get your pet prepared. They know the shipping container requirements and all that stuff, and can ensure your animal is properly fitted, the container meets requirements, and it can help you with that whole process and ultimately ensure your pet gets to their destination safely. So you really honestly should be using an IPATA shipper, especially if you're going internationally. Domestically, I mean, I don't know if you can, it still is stressful. Why don't you let someone else who does it routinely and normally take that stress off your plate and let them do it for you?
Absolutely. And it's not just the preparation and the compliance piece that's so important to use a specialist, but it's the deviation planning. So as a pet owner, you might have done everything to the letter of the law. Luckily, you've been able to work with your vet and get everything done compliantly. But on the day of travel, if there is a delay, if there is weather restrictions, if there is an offload, if there is something that deviates to the original plan, you want boots on the ground. You want people who have a network to be able to recover that for you, right. Make sure that welfare is not at risk, that your pet has somewhere to go, that is picked up at 2:00 in the morning, because we have that network that we can take care of your fur baby like our own, because you're traveling or you're already on the other side of the world. So it's that peace of mind as well, not just the preparation, but the practical movement. And if things don't necessarily go to plan, you need specialists on your side who can recover that for you and get everything back on track as soon as possible. Because like passengers, we know sometimes our flights are delayed, sometimes they're rerouted, etc. It's rare. However, you want the peace of mind when you've done all that hard work to get your animal ready to go internationally. You don't want any hiccups.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's got to be, like I said, there's plan A, and then you got to have plan B and plan C. And you guys think of that. A lot of times what happens is they expect it to go exactly as they thought it was going to go. Delays happen, folks. There could be aircraft changes. There could be temperature limits or something that can come up where, hey, we can't travel because of the temperature guidelines that's established by the airline. Or you might show up and the container doesn't meet requirements. You should have worked with someone who could help you with that whole process to ensure you comply with the shipping container requirements. And this is, like I said, not safe for you. Well, it could be for dog or cats, but then what about the folks that have maybe an exotic pet, snake, lizard, guinea pig, rabbit, jet pets? I'm sure you guys have done that. I mean, what other animals have you guys worked on transporting on behalf of pet owners?
So on behalf of pet owners, internationally, it's very usually limited to dogs and cats due to country regulations. Occasional birds, occasional rabbits. Actually seen a bit of an increase of rabbit owners, which is really lovely. When it comes to some exotics, exotics from a pet ownership perspective are generally domestic. But internationally, we do partner with some amazing zoos and do some of their breeding programs with them. It's on some of our websites and socials. But we've been lucky to do zoo movements for wildcats and for your wombats and your koalas and your reptiles and your Tassie devils, those cheeky little things. So yeah, we've been very blessed to have some amazing partnerships and move some amazing creatures around the world.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. I wanted to back up just for a second. So you both mentioned IPATA and that organization. All of the companies that are with them are all animal transport companies. I wanted to say, is it fair to say that if you are an IPATA member, that's almost like the gold stamp for that company, that you're amongst the best?
Yeah. There's quite a few ways to set industry apart, and IPATA is one of them. Another program through IATA was the SEAV accreditation, which Jetpets went through. I think the original was in 2019, and have refreshed that every 3 years since. And that is a certificate of excellence in the industry, and very proud to have that. And like I said, IPATA is a membership that prides itself in complying with the IATA pet shipping standards. So yeah. And then obviously Dr. Nelva has also attended ATA, which Animal Transport Association, which is another membership body for our industry. So yeah, there's a few out there. And a recent one was GEM, which is a movers network. So there are a few bodies that set industry apart. So that means that memberships are investing in their education, making sure that they understand new regulations that are being released, that they are constantly pushing to reinvent themselves and make sure they're up to date with the standards.
That's perfect. Great. I'm glad you brought that up, because again, folks think it's just, they're just a pet shipper. There's, oh my goodness, the standards that you guys comply with, and it's important for focusing on animal welfare during transport, and all these certifications and everything is just kind of reinforcing your commitment for animal welfare during transportation, basically. So I think it's outstanding. So that's a distinction, folks should understand. You can find a pet shipper that say they can take care of your pet, transporting it, who knows, domestically or helping you go internationally, but you need to find someone that has some certifications or a part of organizations that really set standards. So IPATA, ATA, Animal Transportation Association, and also having the IATA CEIV certification that's amazing. That's amazing.
Absolutely. So just in case we have people who are brand new to the pet transport world, please tell us about Jetpets and what sets it apart from other transport companies.
So it really comes down to our people, our passion, and our purpose. I genuinely think that leads us in the market, because that passion, our brand and reputation is only possible because of our people's core belief and values. So I've touched on integrity, leadership, respect, welfare. Every decision we make has to stem from those. If we deviate from that, then we're doing our pets a disservice. So that is honestly how I believe Jetpets is set apart. We are going to do movements that are in the best interest of our animals' welfare. It's okay to say no. It is so rare that you say no, but if it doesn't sit with those core values, it's okay, because that you need to make sure that animal's welfare is maintained through every point in the journey. And Jetpets have a team of critical thinkers that are going to evaluate that animal's particular transport plan against its breed, its conditions, its age, and making sure that it's not a one rule fits all. Just because a 2-year-old Jack Russell can do a long journey really healthily, it doesn't mean that a 10-year-old brachycephalic should do the same. So we also have in-house veterinarians, many of whom have been with us for a very long time. We have our own pet handlers. We have our own transit lounges in all our major ports. And I'm really proud to say that we have a lot of team members that have been here for in excess of 5 and 10 years. And I think that speaks volumes on the culture that we have at Jetpets and the purposeful, meaningful work that our team do. And that also comes out in the team culture. If you have purpose, obviously you're going to enjoy your job. And that I believe are the foundations of success of what we do at Jetpets.
Absolutely. Now, just in case people are looking at your bubble and they see the name and thinking, well, that looks awfully familiar. Isn't there a company in the United States that is almost like a sister to Jetpets?
Yeah, we have a sister company and long-standing partnership with Pet Express, who are located in California, so San Francisco and LA. Scotty is ex-Aussie, so Scott Williams from Australia, but now obviously owns and runs Pet Express in the US. Yes.
Awesome.
Well, I would venture to say once an Aussie, always an Aussie.
Yeah, you can't take us out of Oz for too long. Always come back.
Absolutely. So what are some of the biggest challenges or changes you've been seeing in the pet travel industry over the years?
Yeah, interesting. I was actually talking to an IPARTA colleague recently on this, and the landscape has changed dramatically over the course of the near 15 years that I've been at Jetpets. And yes, there's the complexities of navigating airline availability restrictions, breed limitations, flight paths or transit routings, and regulatory requirements. But I also believe that the education on the way in which a human travels from one side of the globe to the other is not always the same for our pets. So that is not a challenging, but it's a conversation piece in itself with customers of, yes, our travel plan seems really straightforward. We can jump off one aircraft in a transit country like Dubai or Doha with 2 hours notice and go to the next one. It's not the same for an animal. They need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours and sometimes up to 23, 24. So that education piece, especially with how our animals are a part of our family. So creating that understanding with customers at the start of the conversation sets that movement up for success and can be a challenge if not done right. But the increased awareness around pet welfare has brought necessary scrutiny, one in which we welcome. It's focused the industry to adapt, innovate, raise the welfare bar, and striking the balance between compassion and commercial viability is always a balance and a challenge in itself. But yeah, I would say it's more complex than it once was, and for good reason, because the industry has become educated and are putting more boundaries and limitations in place to manage and mitigate the risks and maintain welfare.
Yeah.
You brought up a lot of great points that, people just don't think of. Like I didn't know, you said the minimum of 6 to 8 hours up to 24. Like, some people go from, do multiple stops just to get to one place. And that might just be too much for your pet.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's why it's really important for pet shipping specialists to evaluate the transport plan based on that pet's individual needs. So if you have a young, healthy animal, perfect. It's fine, as long as they're crate acclimatized and, they've met all of their biosecurity and we've done behavior assessments. These are all wonderful things. But in the very, very rare case that you have an elderly animal or an animal with a chronic illness that requires timed medications, you might need to look at the transport plan and say, oh, that's not viable. The way that the medical plan has been written, that animal is dependent on that medication every 8 to 12 hours. The flight itself is 15, but it also has a lodgement of 4 hours and it might take a couple of hours to clear. So, worst case scenario, that animal might be without that for 20 hours. So these are all things that you need to evaluate. And like I said, it's so rare. And we've been in the business for 34 years because we do it so well and so successfully. So anything can be evaluated, and it's all that education piece and working with a professional with the confidence to give you that information and make sure you're informed about the decisions that everyone's making.
Well, I love that Jetpets has veterinarians on staff. Not saying that. Well, I love that you do have veterinarians on staff to give those assessments and assist in those processes because, again, each animal is an individual. Each dog or cat is individual. You might have two, and we had something in the news here, I think it's in the past 2 years in the U.S. where there were two, this person's dog died in cabin. I think it was a French bulldog or something like that. I believe they were transporting maybe 2 other dogs with them, but this one particular dog went into respiratory distress from the description. I think respiratory distress and died during transport. Well, the thought was, the airline wasn't pet friendly. That's why it happened. But actually, it makes you think if you want to blame the airline, I would imagine all dogs have an issue, right? Well, not just that one. So that one dog had something. It was something there, and very likely being brachycephalic. The difficulty with them traveling by air. That was probably the focus and the reason more than anything, or maybe some underlying conditions with that dog. But it was an individual, and it happened with that one. So you got to think about it. All pets, same as we are. We're all individuals. We all respond to things differently. Please have your pets assessed, and don't assume that, hey, this one is fine, and then the 12-year-old, he's going to be fine. No. So but again, I love that Jetpets have veterinarians on staff to assist with pet owners in that whole process, making that assessment, which is great.
Absolutely. And we're talking about the few percent that might be a conversation and a red flag, but this, Jetpets sends thousands a year and that are in great health. And just touching on the airline piece, something I feel very strongly about is we are reliant on our airline partners. So it is our job as pet shippers in the industry to make sure that we are managing these risks. We are evaluating the pet's transport plan before booking with our airline partners. That's the that's the purpose of the shipper, is to make sure that that animal is compliant. It meets import regulations. It is fit and healthy to travel. We're doing a health certificate on that animal saying that it's been assessed by an export veterinarian and it is healthy to travel. And that's our job. So again, owners, let it be our job, because we're going to do it properly. And that our airline partners are really important in this piece. So as much risk and assessment that we can do, the better it works for industry, because they're going to love shipping our animals to all parts of the globe.
Oh, you know what? I want to bring up one thing too, since you brought up airlines. Same as Jetpets has your affiliation association with IATA. Be aware that there are a lot of airlines that also are members of IATA, and they comply with the IATA live animal regulations and everything as far as the transport of animals. With that, just be aware that means the focus on animals being transported is for animal welfare for that airline as well. So they may have more stringent policies in place because they're complying with IATA, and it's all for the safety and welfare of your animal during transport. So you might think that the airline is, they're stringent, they're not making it pet friendly, whatever. They have policies in place for the safety and welfare of your animals, which is good. So if they have things in place, don't look at it as, they're not pet friendly, because pet friendly isn't just easy, accessible, cheap, or whatever you want it to do. I personally would prefer to deal with an airline that had policies in place for the safety and welfare of my animals. Then I feel more confident, right? So just be aware, there's a lot of member airlines also that are part of IATA live animal regulations that comply with that during transport. So if you see the airline that might have more policies in place, it's because they're probably members of that, and they're enforcing a lot of policies for the safety and welfare of your animals during transport.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, what is some advice you would give someone wanting to hire a pet transport company? Maybe your top 5 tips. What should people be looking for, or what should they ask?
Okay. So first, research and get on the phone and speak to your people. So, you can get email quotes, but you're not going to get a feel for the full process and the care and commitment itself. Get on the phone and speak to Jetpets lovely people. The passion will come through the phone. Secondly, price is not everything. So make sure there's no hidden costs firstly. That's something that I see a bit of. So there's a lot of countries that it's actually mandated that you need to have customs clearance involved and have a broker on the other side, but it's left out of the quotations but listed as a mandatory, versus other companies. So Jetpets, we're not going to high costs. We're going to lay out everything that is required for your movement. So just be mindful reading your quotes, what is actually included and what is mandatory, and ask those questions of your pet shipper. Okay, does your quote include everything that is mandatory for my animal to go to that country? So that's kind of a third tip, I guess. Ask questions. Is my quote inclusive of everything I require to enter the country? If it's not inclusive, the parts that aren't mandatory, can I add those on? Can I take those off? Do a bit of an assessment, because sometimes it is cheaper to do it in-house with your pet shipper than it is to outsource. What else? I would be also comparing the deviation plans that they have. So like I said, Jetpets has, I talk from experience, but Jetpets has transit lounges in 4 major ports across the country and a national and international network. So if something does deviate from the plan, we've got people on the ground to help you. Does the company have 24-hour contact service? So if you're traveling domestically or internationally on a different time zone and you need to ask your pet shipper a question in an emergency, you want to be able to contact them. So do they have 24-hour contact and emergency phoning? And Yeah, I just feel that speaking to your consultant, you're going to get a feel, and speaking to your pet shipper, that they're asking all the right questions to get to know your animal, your circumstances, and then tailor your experience to match that. So I also would check if they are a part of any of the regulating bodies. So are they a part of IPATA? Are they a part of ATA? Because that says they're investing in their people, in their development, and that they're constantly pushing themselves to excel. And look at their reviews. That would be my last point. So, Trustpilot or Google reviews or Facebook reviews, etc. Go read them and get a good overview. Look at your international reviews, your domestic reviews, and get a feel. You often see the consultants' names in there, so it's personalised. You get to see throwbacks to the pet handlers that picked up the animals. So, yeah, education, reviews.
They were all fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I was making a list because I'll make a flyer with all of your tips so that we can share that with everyone.
Thank you. Awesome.
So let's see, what's next for Jetpets and the future of global pet travel?
Look, we're constantly excited about the future. It's about continuing to innovate for us, whether it's through better customer technology, stronger global partnerships, development of our team, and raising our welfare standards even further. So the next, couple of years will be collaboration across borders, transparency with customers, and hopefully a stronger industry as a result. So I'm proud to say that journey's already started, but we continue to look forward to investing in our people, our processes, and our presence.
That's fantastic. Dr. Bryant, do you have any questions for Miss Montana?
No, I'm just happy to learn more about Jetpets and what you're doing there and everything. And I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. And I really, honestly, as you said, just to stress something you said, is when you're getting a pet shipper, really see what investments they've made within their organization to keep a standard and everything in education. Being a member of IPATA, ATA, also, also as a member of IPATA, they're required to know the IATA's regulations as far as live animal regulations and stuff. So again, associated with those two organizations would be amazing for you. And again, the focus is on animal welfare during transportation. Very, very, very important.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm just happy you're here, Montana. Like I said, Hannah Montana, I love it. I'm glad you're here.
Don't make me sing.
Huh?
Don't make me sing to you. You won't like it.
It's early in the morning. Anything to keep you awake in Australia, we don't mind. But I think it's so cool. I love your name. That's cool.
That's
but I really do appreciate you being here and a time to share. Honestly, big eye opening as far as what you do with Jetpets. So thank you.
No,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Well, I just want to let everyone know, if you want to learn more about Jetpets, go to their site, jetpets.com.au. Quick question, Montana. So I know definitely people from Australia, they definitely should give you a call. But if you're from another country, let's say Spain, I'm assuming you should be the company to call to find out how can we work together to bring my pet into your country. Is that the best thing to say?
Absolutely. We can give you a step-by-step guide dependent on the category and the country that you're in on how to import your loved one in. We can handhold you through the process. We can apply for your permits and quarantine. We'll put your vet schedule together. We'll mark every appointment off as compliant. We'll review all of your documentation and we'll just take the stress away. So contact us at Jetpets. There's a contact us forum and we can help out.
Fantastic. I just didn't want to leave people to think, oh, they're in Australia, so I can't give them a call. So that's why I wanted to say that. So definitely go to the website to find out more about them and to contact them. But to keep up with news and their movements on social media, they are on Facebook as at Jetpets, and you can go to Montana's LinkedIn, which is Montana Sheridan, and keep up with everything that they're doing on social media. Do either of you have any last minute things you want to say before we jump off?
Nope. Just thank you for being here. Yeah.
Okay.
No, just lovely being here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us as we got to learn more about Jetpets, who is based in Australia, and how great of a company they are. We hope that you have a fantastic weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday on the next Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. So for now, bye-bye.
Bye.